Thank you everyone for joining today's webinar, and at this time I'd like to turn it over to Amy.
Good morning everyone, and thank you for joining us for our February webinar, Manufacturing Extension Partnerships, How MEPs Can Help Manufacturers Innovate, Grow, and Prosper. My name is Amy Reinholdt, and I am one of the regional directors with HBK Manufacturing Solutions. And with us today, I have two very special guests, Darlyn McDermott and Janelle Lee. Darlyn and Janelle are from Magnet, which is one of the MEPs located in Northeast Ohio. MEPs are throughout the entire country, and Darlyn and Janelle will talk to you more about that network and things that they can do regardless of your area of the country. But ultimately, Magnet has some very unique offerings that really focus on the manufacturing community and really can take us into the next level of innovation as far as what manufacturers are seeing with Industry 4.0 technologies and some other advanced manufacturing areas of expertise. So with that being said, we're very excited to have Darlyn and Janelle with us today, and I'm going to turn it over to them.
Thank you very much, Amy, and good morning, everyone. We're really happy to be with you today. And sorry, I was looking at a slide for James. So obviously a principal there and Amy who spoke. So we really appreciate HBK. What's nice about HBK is the location there in Mahoning County serves so many of our manufacturers across Ohio, and certainly in your national footprint. So again, I'm Darlyn McDermott. I am the Director of Client Engagement for half of our territory. My colleague and friend Janelle Lee is the Director of Client Engagement for the other half of our territory. And we are very much looking forward to presenting to you today. We would ask that as you listen to the information today, you're really going to hear it from 3 points of view, right? So we're certainly going to talk about some things that are very specific to even some counties in Ohio. And we're also going to talk about some things that are specific to Ohio. And we're also going to talk about things that would definitely be for the whole entire nation, because every state in the country has at least one MEP, Manufacturing Extension Partnership. So before I dive into a couple slides, I would like to ask my colleague, Janelle Lee, to introduce herself as well.
Thank you, Darlyn. And thank you, HBK, for inviting us today. You guys have been a great partner to us. In my 4 years, I've been at Magnet and really appreciate and value our partnership. So yes, I'm Janelle Lee. I'm the Director of Client Engagement for Magnet. I'm just celebrating my 4-year anniversary this month. So glad to be here and glad to be with Magnet. So a little bit about my background. I've been, I guess, an economic developer now for almost 25 plus years in the state of Ohio. Started out my career in Southwest Ohio, down in the Cincinnati, the greater Cincinnati region. But had a great opportunity here in Northeast Ohio 6 years ago, and started out doing an economic development project for Strengthening Stark. And now I've had the last 4 years with Magnet. Enjoy what I do, enjoy meeting with clients. And that background really started down in Cincinnati with Ready Cincinnati, which is a part of Jobs Ohio. So I got that experience working with manufacturers, working in other clusters around IT, around medical devices, advanced manufacturing from aerospace to automotive, which has allowed me to do what I'm doing now here in Northeast Ohio, working in 24 counties. So that's my background. I enjoy what I do. Darlyn and I are kind of joined at the hips as we're out on the ground meeting with clients to help them grow. So thank you, and I enjoy and look forward to talking more about what we do here at Magnet and how we partner with different agencies and manufacturers to help them grow.
Thank you very much, Janelle. And just a few comments on my background, and then we'll dive right in. I've been at Magnet now 7 years, and like Janelle, I have a long background, not in economic development, but in risk management, working with manufacturers all around the globe, thinking about their business interruption, thinking about their equipment and the payments that get made when it breaks down, and thinking about how to ensure risk when it comes to leased equipment and all kinds of things involved in M&A and those matters. So really enjoy manufacturing and have had the opportunity to be on many plant floors in many different verticals in many sectors of manufacturing. What Janelle and I really appreciate bringing to the table is this manufacturing focus, but also the economic development focus. So as we proceed through the next 21 or so slides, there will be some acronyms. So forewarning, probably like in taxes and accounting, lots of acronyms. We'll try to do a really good job explaining what those are. But they are important because, again, they could be grants, they could be acronyms for other economic development entities in your areas across Ohio, across the country, that can be wonderful resources for you, not just for your manufacturers, but also wonderful centers of influence for you when it comes to referring business and really supporting the millions of manufacturers out there. So without any further ado, we'll proceed to the next slides. And first, we'll confirm attendance.
Yeah, so for those of you who are looking for CPE credit today, don't forget to complete those poll questions. They will pop up sporadically through Darlyn and Janelle's presentation.
Thank you. So quick overview of what the puzzle box looks like completed. Here is the complete picture of everything we will go over today. We're going to talk specifically about Magnet Outreach. There's one of those acronyms. Magnet is the name of our MEP, and that's the Manufacturing and Growth Advocacy Network. We will also talk about some manufacturing stats. We will also talk about the national and state MEPs, again, manufacturing extension partnerships, of which Magnet is the largest in the state of Ohio. And then we will also talk about the ARC Arise grant, which is happening right now in the Appalachian region, which certainly affects some parts of Ohio. So with that.
Yeah, the ARC stood for the Appalachian Region Commission. And as Darlyn said, later on in the presentation, we had talked about that grant and how it's helpful for our manufacturers.
Absolutely.
I think we should have a test at the end on the acronyms, Darlyn. What do you think?
I know. I'll tell you, I still sometimes get them confused. I'm lucky I get my own acronym right, DAM, right?
That's right.
So what is our mission? So, you know, this is Magnet's mission, but this is really the mission of the manufacturing extension partnerships all over the country. The mission is for us at Magnet to drive Northeast Ohio manufacturing growth. So particular to Ohio, if you think about Janelle and I's area that we share, you think about as far west as the Indiana line, think as far north as the Lake Erie, as far east as the Pennsylvania line, and then on down, like Janelle said, into our mid-Ohio and southern counties as well. We work primarily with small and medium-sized companies, and those make up 98% of our region's 10,000 manufacturers. So think about that, 10,000 manufacturers. And this is not to say that we don't work with the really big publicly traded manufacturers. We certainly do. And many of their leaders do sit on our board. But the mission is primarily to really support and help those middle market manufacturers and the smaller ones as they enter into these journeys that you'll hear about today that Janelle and I will talk about, those being innovation, those being robots and cobots, technology, those being cybersecurity, those being expansions, those being collapsing manufacturing lines because they just went through an M&A, a merger and acquisition. And so really that's our mission. We are a public-private partnership. That's why you'll notice Janelle and I's emails end in .org. So there is one part philanthropy, one part mission, and then the for-profit side is how we also keep the lights on, and those are with consulting engagements. At Magnet, we do.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to just talk a little bit about the company. And so, as Darlyn said, she did a great job highlighting our mission, what our vision is, and why we get up every day to work and to help our small manufacturers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our company, Magnet, which is the Manufacturing Advocacy and Growth Network. So this year, ladies and gentlemen, we are celebrating 40 years. Magnet has been around for 40 years. And for most of that time, we were headquartered and still are. Our HQ is in Cleveland in Cuyahoga County. But over the last couple of years, and I think, Darlyn, this was part of your strategy when you came on board a couple of years ago, was to create some satellite offices south of Cuyahoga County. And so today we do have 2 satellite offices, one in Akron in Summit County, and we have one in Canton in Stark County. So our leadership team, along with Darlyn's strategy, said, hey, we want to be close. We want to be near our clients. We want to be accessible. We want to be that easy resource for our clients. And so therefore, we have now the 2 satellite offices along with our headquarters. Our company today is about 55, 60 employees. We're growing tremendously because there is a need to have services and resources to help the communities that we serve. Again, you'll see a map where we're serving 24 communities, 24 counties in Northeast Ohio. And so our mission is really to help roll up our sleeves, to be there with our clients, to be there with our community as we implement these growth services. In addition to the growth services that you're going to hear a little bit more later, we also work around workforce and talent. So we're advocacy. We are providing advocacy. We're providing talent. We're providing those resources for the community to learn more about manufacturing. So we're educating. We're advocating about the wonderful manufacturing cluster. And so I just wanted to highlight a little bit about Magnet. Again, just proud to be a part of this company that's growing and with a long history of 40 years.
Those are great points, Janelle. And in addition to the employees that we have at Magnet, our listeners might wonder, wow, how do they do 200 projects a year? How do they help all these manufacturers? And we do that by also having closely held independent contractors who are specialists in their field and who have been leaders in their field. Primarily, we have people who are at least mid-career, if not more, who have enough experience and multiple locations that they can really offer that vantage point and purview to our local manufacturers, some of which perhaps have only operated in Ohio. And that's how we get the work done. And as Janelle mentioned, we couldn't do our work with just that small number of employees. Right. We really depend on partners like HBK, for example, to help get the word out that Magnet exists, and vice versa. One of our, believe it or not, biggest challenges is that a lot of companies have not heard of us. They're not familiar with the manufacturing extension partnership structure, and they're certainly not familiar with maybe all the different ways that we can help out with projects. And they're also not familiar with the fact that we are an economic development organization. And that brings with it the opportunity for support in funding and things of that nature. So I think that maybe by looking at our diagram here, you can begin to see that Magnet is sort of the center of a hub and spoke approach. And we put you on here because whether you here is an HBK partner or affiliate, whether it's a manufacturer, whether it's a person in industry that is now aware of us who can certainly mention the availability of this type of support, the you there is it can be whatever that it pertains to. And in addition to that, we do work with our service providers and our associations. So if you think about even the CPA Association or the Tool and Die Association, all of the industry associations, some insurance associations, we work with them all. If you think about the chambers, if you think about the British Chamber of Commerce, certainly the local chambers of commerce, a couple examples locally, Youngstown, Canton, and Akron are very much in a structured partnership with us to really help get us close to the manufacturers. And Janelle mentioned it earlier when she referenced some of her great history with economic development. Those are EDOs. Those are other economic development organizations that do refer us manufacturers and help us put on presentations like this, like HBK did, to get the word out there. The universities and community colleges, can't tell you how much we do with and for those communities. Just in a few weeks, Janelle and I will be serving on a panel involving AI at one of the local universities. In addition to that, we'll be sponsoring here in another month or two. That particular one is at Malone University. We'll be sponsoring something at Kent State University at their aeronautical and engineering school. And it's all about the STEM, the senior high school students doing STEM projects and really looking at future manufacturing jobs. Same thing with collaborating with manufacturers. Can't tell you how many different ways we collaborate. It could be a project, yes. It could be a thought leadership webinar, which is free, that Janelle and I host about every other month. And those are absolutely free to any manufacturer or person that wants to attend. They're always on a manufacturing topic, whether that perhaps be workers' compensation, could eventually be a tax issue. For example, if HBK wanted to present, it could be a patent issue, just lots of different things. During COVID, we came up with that approach because we still wanted to reach our manufacturers. And at that time, we were talking about things like PPE and what some of the regulations were at the time. So those webinars were born out of necessity, but have been maintained out of request. And then also, lastly, the government agencies and things of that nature. So, we do work with Team NEO. Again, we work with some NGOs. We certainly work with some boards. We work with a lot of different government entities. Jobs Ohio, Ohio means jobs. Again, all in that effort to coalesce around the manufacturer.
Yeah, very good. And I think that leads into our next slide, is how we collaborate with all of those spokes that you just saw on that former slide. So one of the things that Darlyn and I do, in addition to really working with our clients, is that we are collaborating and partnering with those different agencies, different EDOs, universities, as she mentioned before, in each of the counties that we work in. And you can see from this slide that we're busy and we're collaborating and we're connecting with the chambers in each of the 24 counties, the state and local agencies, the city of different counties, the counties, departments in each of those counties. So again, that helps get the word out. They get the word out about what we do, and then that gets us in front of the manufacturers that need our help. So from, like Darlyn said, from all the way up in Lake County and Ashtabula County, over to Lorain County and Huron County, we are partnering with those agencies, with those chambers, providing resources, getting those folks in front of our engineers and our growth advisors so they could talk more about it. So again, over the last 20 plus years, we're members of each of these organizations. We invest in these organizations, and that is what is making our region healthy and what is making our region grow.
Excellent.
So as we move in to this slide here, this is an initiative that we started about, Darlyn, 2 years ago, the manufacturing blueprint. And so our CEO, Ethan Karp, along with other CEOs and stakeholders around the state of Ohio, got together and said, what can we do to really make an impact within the manufacturing community? We were seeing some trends, we were seeing some data where they were not good within our manufacturing cluster. And in order for that cluster, for manufacturing to continue to grow and to prosper, we needed to do some things. We needed to become advocates and educate our manufacturers, our manufacturing community on 4 different pillars on what it's going to take to make our manufacturing community healthy. And so we got over, 500 stakeholders in the state of Ohio that are part of this manufacturing blueprint. And we can give you that website where you can go and look at videos and you can see who our stakeholders are. But we're all committed to these 4 different pillars, which is talent, because we need talent. These manufacturers need the right talent to move those companies forward, to take them into the new millennial, which is the new Industry 4.0. You need that transformation, which is going to include technology, innovation, product development. You need those key strategies to move forward within the practice. Innovation. You need to be able to innovate and create new things within the manufacturing community. And last but not least, you need leadership. Okay, in addition to the talent, you need the right leadership to take us into that next phase of unlocking the future for manufacturing. Darlyn, any comments on that? There, like I said, we have some videos. We would love for you, our audience, to learn more about it and to get on board with this new manufacturing blueprint. And I know, and I think in a few weeks, we're about to do the 2.0 version, where we've now have some best practices. We've learned some things. We've talked to some of our clients, and we're going to just embellish on these 4 pillars of the manufacturing blueprint.
Yes, thank you, Janelle. What I would add is that the reason why that initial data set of the 500 or so voice of customers from Ohio, the reason why that was key is because Ohio is number 4 in the nation for GDP. So if you think about that, really the only states that create, manufacture, and ship out more goods are Florida, and I think we have some Florida folks on the call, California, New York, and Texas. So that's quite compelling. And a lot of that, of course, is because of the harbors, where they're located on the water. In addition to that, Ohio is number 3 in the country for employees who classify in some form of manufacturing. And granted, there are many SIC and NAIC codes for manufacturing, but particularly in Ohio, being number 3 in the nation, it's very representative. So it's kind of like, as things go for the Ohio MEP, so goes the rest of the nation for their MEPs. And so that's why, that data was really important.
In our goal, and I know with this new implementation of the manufacturing blueprint for 2.0, it's going to take us from being 3rd in the country to number 1 in the country. And we're pretty confident we can get there.
Fantastic.
So Darlyn, let's talk a little bit about our consulting services at Magnet, and really our growth services and the engineers. So Darlyn and I, as we mentioned, we also have another colleague that is handling a few counties as well. So the 3 of us are business development. Like we said earlier, we're out every day in any of our counties connecting and engaging with those clients. Once we meet those clients and we kind of understand what their pain points are and what some of their issues that they're dealing with, we then connect them to our experts at Magnet. That are our engineers that have years of experience, that can go into a plant and say, hey, if you want to create some efficiencies, we can help you do that. Or if they need to build a robot to help with assembly, they can do that. So that's who we connect our clients to. And we really specialize in these 4 areas of growth services. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So we have our technology and engineering. We have our operations excellence. We have our new ventures, which is one of our newer growth services. And we have our strategy, marketing, and sales. So let me talk about strategy, marketing, and sales. And our director of that practice, his name is Dave Sluka, and he has a team of experts and subcontractors, like Darlyn mentioned earlier, that will help that client around strategy, marketing, and sales. So what does that mean? Maybe that client needs a new business plan, or maybe that client needs a new, wants to do some research and get into a different market to sell their product. Or perhaps it could be as simple as a client needing a new website, or some digital marketing and collateral materials, or perhaps some sales training for their business leaders. That's what our SMS practice can do for our clients. They can help with those things there. They can help with website design, research development, sales training. So that is what our sales, marketing, and strategy team can do. Darlyn?
Thank you, Janelle. Moving across the bottom, and then we'll work our way to the top. So our new ventures and startups. This is another division of Magnet. And again, we're very flat. So Janelle and I are directors, and there's a director, as she mentioned, of each of these practices. The director of this practice is Andrea Navratil. And the point of this practice is simply, we need to differentiate the really small manufacturers who really are entrepreneurial startups. So in this practice, if you have a client that is a 1 to roughly 10 person operation, perhaps they haven't operationalized yet, but they have a patent, they have their funding, perhaps they are in operation, but they're looking for increased supply chain alternatives, or they're looking for some prototyping, perhaps they're looking for some collaboration in the manufacturing environment. They could be, for example, one of our new ventures, which might involve something like cannabis. Maybe it would involve pharmacology. Maybe it would involve hydroponic growth. There's a lot of different areas in manufacturing that are what I would call emerging markets that have special needs. They have special marketing needs. They have special operational needs. They have special business needs. In fact, many of them really need a good CPA. So in that new ventures group, that's where we try to harness and foster those level of where they are on their journey, and put them in the same peer group with others that are going through the same thing. There's some things out in the marketplace, peaceful fruits. If you've ever had the opportunity to eat some of that here in Ohio, it is marketed across the country. Peaceful Fruits started in our incubator at the time, which is now the New Ventures Group. And that's just one of many examples. And just one other quick example to go back to Janelle's discussion with us on sales strategy and marketing. A wonderful example of the transformation that a good medium-sized manufacturer can go through would be, and there are many, but just to look at one, there's a company that used to be called Acro, A-K-R-O Mold. And now the other side of their company is called Metalcraft Solutions. So if you get time and you jump on both of those websites, you'll see the legacy company of Acro Mold, which is a 50, 60-year-old tried and true Akron, Ohio rubber-oriented company that made things for the tire industry. Then you look at Metalcraft Solutions and you think, wow, is this in Palo Alto, California, or where is this? I mean, all they're doing is 3D printing and it looks like something out of the space age. Well, guess what? It's the same company. And that was a 3 or 4 year journey. Janelle?
Yes, thanks, Darlyn. Great job on the new ventures. And so let's go up to the left-hand corner now and talk about technology and engineering services. But let me just back up a bit. Our consulting practice is run by our Vice President of Operations, Michael Donald. Michael Donald has a long history with Magnet. I believe he started out 25 plus years ago as a growth advisor. He's an engineer by trade and now is running our consulting services, which includes business development. It includes all of our consulting services that we're talking about now, as well as some other business units within Magnet. So I just wanted to highlight Michael Donald, who is our VP of operations for Magnet. So as we think about technology and engineering, that's part of our blueprint that we talked about earlier, which is the Industry 4.0. So Michael Pence is our Director of Engineer, and I believe he's been at Magnet 25 plus years as well, running the engineering department. The engineering department, I think, has about 10 to 12 engineers that are working day and day at our new state-of-the-art facility in Cleveland. So over the 40 years, we are now in our third location in Midtown Cleveland that has the state-of-the-art machine shop. So most of our engineering projects are done right in Cleveland, in-house at our facility. And so what does engineering, technology, and engineering include? Just like we listed here, all of the Industry 4.0 projects. We do all the robots and cobots. They will actually build a robot for you. All the automation projects. And we really start seeing a rise in the automation area when COVID hit in 2020. And so we all know that we lost a lot of workers, and it really created an impact within the country, within every industry. And so we got our heads together, really the engineers got their heads together and said, how can we help these manufacturers that are losing workers, that still need to produce a product? And so that's when they started different automation projects, where maybe before it took 10 people on that assembly line. Now it's taking 2 because they now have automated that cell. They now have a robot or a cobot to help. So that's what's happening within technology and engineering. It also includes product development. Perhaps a client may want to, change the way a product looks. Our engineering team will put their heads together and we'll come up with a new design. And we have those images and those displays throughout our company. And I know Darlyn can talk more about that because she was involved with a lot of those different engineering projects. And just want to quickly highlight cybersecurity. And so, yes, we're involved with that because a lot of our clients work for the military. And so a few years ago, the DoD, the Department of Defense, came out with some new standards and certifications that were required by manufacturers to continue to do work in the military space and to continue to get those contracts. They had to have the right level of certification, the CMMC certification. So Magnet took that on. We have a dedicated engineer that is working with 2 cybersecurity vendors to make sure that those clients are getting the right level of certification, and that we're also providing training because we want to make sure we keep our clients risk-free from hackers. We just did a cybersecurity conference down in Tuscarawas County about a month ago and had a great participation, had one of our vendors come in and talk about those risks. So that's part of what we're doing within our technology and engineering department. And I encourage all of you on this call, if you're ever in the Cleveland area, stop by the Magnet headquarters and see what this technology is and see what we can do as it relates to the whole Industry 4.0. Darlyn?
Thanks, Janelle. And yes, if you do visit any of our offices, the Cleveland Midtown office is the one where you can really put your hands on displays. You can read all about many, many, many hundreds of patents that we've been a part of. We don't keep any intellectual property. Our name is on the patent because our engineers helped the company or the manufacturer's engineers with that particular piece of intellectual property. Sometimes clients actually want us to lead the patent because they're hiding behind us a little bit because they don't want it to get out into the marketplace until it's done. from a competitive standpoint. So you could look at all of the patents across so many different manufacturing verticals that we've been a part of. You could also see our almost 50,000 square foot manufacturing floor. You could see all the equipment, and that is really where we build machines. So just to unpack a little bit more about what Janelle said, and to really help you squarely put this in your, I guess, data bank of resources for what we do, there's a couple things. So number one, you might know of a manufacturer that they just can't go buy a piece of equipment. So this would be a sizable asset, okay, that they just can't go buy. What they really want is this thing that does something that's very particular to their operation. And it could even be patented. So what they need to do, they need to either have a group of engineers who are design engineers who can really design and spec out this machine, or they need to consult with people who can. So when we talk about building machines, that's exactly what we do. We go through a D1 through D4 process. And let's say that ultimately we work with their manufacturing engineers and we create, this machine that has all the throughput, all the tolerances, all the volumes that they want, and the quality standards that they need for their particular operation. And let's just say that the cost of the machine is $100,000. So far, we've sounded like an engineering and business consulting firm. But now, with what we're going to say, we really sound like that nonprofit that Janelle and I have been talking about. So let's say the machine is $100,000. We can then take some of our grant funding and we can help that manufacturer with some of that cost. In addition, we can also do some things like bill them in 4 installments with no interest. So we're not a bank, we don't lend money, but these are just some ways that we can help the manufacturer get that machine built. There's examples of machines that we've built all over Ohio and a few in Pennsylvania. Just one example would be in Columbiana County at Haltech, and it's HALTEC. We've built a couple of machines for them. Another example would be Cleveland Fiber Corps. So these are very well-known companies that really wanted to just get some help building some very bespoke machines. The other thing that Janelle talked about, which is super key, is what we've put together with regard to cybersecurity. So if you think about it, those DoD, Department of Defense manufacturers that Janelle talked about, that cyber compliance, that CMMC that she talked about, that's coming down from NIST, National Institute of Standards and Testing. That's the oversight. Well, the MEP structure also rolls up to NIST federally. So it makes sense that the MEP would have this purview on how to make sure that we streamline and package together the approach to the POEM and the CMMC compliance that Janelle talked about, because we know what the oversight sign-off is looking for, and we can really streamline from an expense standpoint, from a time standpoint, from an interviewing of vendor standpoint, and really make that a one-stop turnkey shop, for that manufacturer. And like Janelle said, our engineer, Joe Vinciquera, manages that program. So what Janelle and I do is listen for that need, and we develop that discussion with the manufacturer, CIO, sometimes the CTO, sometimes the CEO, and then we arrange for that meeting to happen with Joe, and then that would take off from there. Similarly, she and I and Kristen, the other colleague that we have, would be listening for these machine builds and the need for that design. And at that point, we would then ask Joe Vinciquera or Joe Work or Mike Pence, like Janelle said, to get involved and lead the design and construction of that particular machine. And then last but not least, I really wanted to take a minute and talk about the automation piece and expand on what Janelle said, because it's so important. And that is in regard to robots and cobots. Some of you on the call may know the difference, but if you don't, Cobots are meant to cohabilitate with humans. So if you ever see an automated arm moving in a manufacturing operation and it's not in a cage, then you know it's a cobot. If you see an automatic arm moving quickly and it's in a cage or some kind of protected device, then you know it's a robot. And the reason is it's stupid. It's dumb. It doesn't have any sensors on it that are going to make it stop the minute it senses any kind of approach to a human being. So they both need programmed. They also both need fitted on a line, on a production line. And that is exactly what our engineers do. And that's a great segue into the last bucket of services that Janelle will talk about, and that is the operations excellence team. And the reason why that's a great segue is before a company can consider a robot or a cobot, there's lots of efficiencies that can be gained just by line balancing and just by cell balancing and just by value stream mapping before you ever even add automation. So she will talk more about those things.
Yes, and as Darlyn said, this is our last growth service. And to be honest, operation excellence in technology, in SMS, they all kind of work together because you need all three to really make that company successful. So a little bit about our operation excellence. Bas Corey is our director of lean operations. He's been with Magnet now about 6-7 years, and he's worked all over the world, literally Asia, Africa, in different parts of Europe, installing plant operations for different manufacturers. He's from Cleveland, and he actually was an intern at Magnet 40 years ago, and now is back leading and running our operations excellence. So we have lots of clients who need help with efficiency. It could be expanding their plant operations, which we have a lot of clients that have that need. They've outgrown their facility. They want to move to a new facility. Bas and his team can walk into that plant and tell them exactly where they need to move their equipment and where their cells need to be. That all starts with the value stream mapping. We now have new technology within lean operations that can go in and survey a different part of a room, a different plant, different office space, and map it out tremendously, where before they had to walk around and measure that by themselves. So that technology has expanded and has allowed the operations team to do those things very quick and easy. And so that is really what our operations excellence is all about, is plant efficiency, value stream mapping, and plant efficiency and layout. So again, if you have any questions or would like to know more about any of these 4 growth services, please give Darlyn and me a call, and we can connect you to that expert. So I know we probably have about 15-20 minutes left, and we have some additional slides that we want to go over. So we're just going to continue right through on our presentation. And I believe our next segment is to talk more about the MEPs, which is the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and really what that means. And so when we think about it, we are a private partnership, nonprofit, that is managed by each state. So as we said earlier, each U.S. state has an MEP, and that is run through NIST, which is the National Standards Innovation and Technology. It's a federal program. And so our government is saying that we want to make sure that every manufacturer in every U.S. state has the resources they need to be successful. In the state of Ohio, we're kind of unique, where we have 6 different agencies, all at the end of the day, helping manufacturers. We're in different lanes on what we do, but we all are consistent with helping our manufacturers. There are some states that may just have 1 or 2 MEPs, where other states have several. Again, here in the state of Ohio, we have 6 different agencies. And what we do every year is have our national conference, where we go and connect and engage and learn what these other centers are doing, those centers of excellence, and we share best practices. And that's how we continue to be strong throughout the U.S. is by attending that national conference. And then we have our state conference as well, where we get together with our other MEPs within the state. So as we look at this, just want to highlight a few things, and Darlyn, please chime in. Magnet, again, is our Northeast Ohio agency. We're the largest agency within the state, covering 24 counties, followed by SIFT up here in the left-hand corner, our Northwest, which is the Center of Innovation and Food Technology. And Darlyn, talk about a conference I think you're going to in a few weeks to talk more, to highlight what's going on within that Center of Innovation and Food and Technology.
Sure. So SIFT stands for the Center of Innovation and Food Technology, as Janelle mentioned. And SIFT is actually the MEP for Toledo. Say that our MEP Magnet goes all the way to Indiana is we often help SIFT out a lot when it's a non-food manufacturing type of topic. Right. But if you have a manufacturer, frankly, anywhere in the country that is dealing with food manufacturing, SIFT, just like Magnet is kind of the premier national MEP for building machines, SIFT is really one of the leading MEPs for food technology. So just one quick example, there are many. But if you think about Flavor Seal in Cleveland, we, Magnet, built the machines, but SIFT helped us with the ISO standards for food manufacturing, because what we were doing was building a machine that whenever you buy a frozen turkey and it goes into that netted bag, and it has some flavoring on it, we built the machine that would drop the netted bag and have the equal layer of flavoring all over the turkey, or chicken, not just, in one part of it. So we built the machine, but then we partnered with SIFT to help us with the food standard ISO that would be involved, in addition to just the mechanical asset and electrical ISO that would be involved. So that's an example of SIFT. There is a conference coming up in a couple of weeks in Columbus. The other thing I wanted to mention, Janelle and I and Kristen Binen, the other colleague of ours who handles a couple counties for us, because again, we are growing with 10,000 manufacturers. We really want to try to get out to see everybody. I want to take a minute and explain how we partner with you. So a lot of times we'll get a referral from, again, a manufacturer that isn't aware of us. We will keep you involved to the extent that you want to be. We really try to be good partners and really want to help any referring entity or partner benefit from the value of knowing Magnet. So we hope that we make you stickier to your client. We hope that we make you have just one more tentacle of knowledge that you may not already have. Again, all in an effort to also support you. Great. So just to continue on with some of the other MEPs within the state of Ohio, again, there's 6, Magnet being the largest, and then we have SIFT that Darlyn just talked about. We also have our MEP at Columbus State, which is in the center of Ohio, and I believe there are about 13 counties within that agency. And over to the left here, we have Fastlane, which is another MEP in Dayton, Ohio. They're on the campus of the University of Dayton, and they focus more on research for manufacturers. Down in Southwest Ohio, we have TechSolve. TechSolve has been around, I believe, about 20 years. They've been part of the Ohio MEP, and for many years, they served as a chamber for manufacturers. So you have your regular chambers that are for businesses. TechSolve served more as a chamber for manufacturers, but they have now changed their model and are doing more around workforce. They're doing more around cybersecurity, and they're doing more around engineering services. And then over on the southeastern part of Ohio, you have the Ohio SU South Centers. And again, they have a very similar model to Magnet, where they're doing things around engineering service, workforce, and growth services. So here, again, on this slide, you have your Ohio MEP. We're all working very hard
to help our small and mid-sized manufacturing clients. Okay, I think we have another poll. So as you do this poll, Darlyn, let's go into some of the stats. And we've talked a lot about those stats throughout this presentation. And let's start with our national stats. You know, just look at what we talked about. So we're third in the nation when it comes to GDP, when it comes to that manufacturing power. Third, followed by Texas and California. But I know now with our new manufacturing for Blueprint 2.0 that we're about to launch, we're going to hit that #1 in the nation because we have the resources, we have the technology, we're getting our communities, we're getting our stakeholders, we're getting our universities and EDOs and all of the community on board to make this happen. And we know that it will happen. And another stat at the national level, for every manufacturing job there is in the nation, an estimated 3.4 jobs are created in non-manufacturing clusters. So what we're doing is creating other jobs within the clusters, which is a very powerful stat. And when we look at the state, you know, 34 of Northeast Ohio top employers are manufacturers. And we have another slide right after this to show you the other clusters that follow manufacturing. So manufacturing is the top employer in Northeast Ohio. And for every $1 of manufacturing that is added in value, another $2.79 of activity is generated elsewhere in the economy, which is, again, what you can see what manufacturing is doing in the state of Ohio. 50% of all Northeast Ohio jobs depend on manufacturing. And what we tell our young college students, our high school students, and even our adults who are now looking to get into manufacturing, manufacturing is a good cluster. You can make a very good salary. And this is from some data from McKinsey and data from Jobs Ohio, that these new starting salaries can be $72,000 a year. And that is a great cluster. You can come to Magnet, you can get training, we could show you things, and then you can go right into an internship position and get into the manufacturing world and make up to $72,000 a year, which is just a fantastic cluster to be in. So let's talk about a little bit of these other clusters that follow manufacturing. And so you have healthcare followed with education, government, and insurance. And so again, the top 100 employers in manufacturing, it is manufacturing, that top cluster. Darlyn, anything to add on this? I know you worked many years in insurance and finance. And so that, again, a very good cluster to be in. But it is following manufacturing here in the state of Ohio.
Yes, the one thing I would like to call out is I really appreciate the partnership with HBK, specifically Amy Reinhold and Carl Greenaway leading the manufacturing vertical. Amy has brought a lot of focus and streamline to that vertical out of the Canfield office. That's really how we met. So I think we're seeing that more and more, but frankly, a lot of service providers have not specialized in manufacturing, and it's much easier for us to support when they do, because it's obviously a very focused strategic support. So kudos to them. The last slide, as we look at time, I want to make sure we have time to go over because this is very important. And I would like to ask my colleague Janelle, she actually, for Magnet, is leading the oversight of some of these grants. This is one of them. Mm-hmm. And we all do a few different things. I lead some other initiatives that we won't talk about today, but I'll just give you a sneak peek. If you see a billboard in Summit or Stark County, we're working on that. But right now, I want Janelle to have a chance to really talk about these awesome grants.
Yes, thank you, Darlyn. So at the end of last year, we had the opportunity to partner as part of this ARC, the Appalachian Region Commission grant. This is a huge grant that was awarded $10 million. And within our region, we will get $1.25 million in grant funding to help our clients with clean energy. And so just a little high level about the grant. It covers 5 states. It covers Maryland, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. And in those 5 states, it covers 156 counties. So think about all the Appalachian counties in those states. That's a lot of counties. So it's going to help and make a huge impact for those counties as it relates to clean energy grant. In the state of Ohio, there's 32 counties, and Darlyn and I cover a lot of those counties. So we're actively talking to our clients about this grant funding as it relates to clean energy. It's just an awesome opportunity. And I want to talk about, these are some of the clients, these are some of the counties that are part of Ohio. Again, all the counties that kind of border the Ohio River, as well as those counties that fall within the Appalachian region. And so there's about 8 or 9 counties up in the Magnet territory. I believe about 20 counties in the OSU South Centers. We talked about, those different agencies. And there are 3 counties down in the greater Cincinnati region, Carroll County, not Carroll County, but Harrison County, Harrington County, in Brown County. So those are some counties down in our sister region. We're going to be collaborating with TechSolve as well as OSU to get a unified, consistent message. And so we're working on that. Again, we just found out about this grant in December. We're working with our marketing teams. We're coming up with collaterals and talking points. And like I said, Darlyn and I are actually meeting with clients to tell them about this grant. And I believe there are 2 or 3 clients that are eligible right now. So let's talk a little bit about what some of those projects may include. Again, any manufacturer that's in the clean energy supply chain or that's going to be helping out with green factory strategies. These are manufacturers that will be eligible for these different projects. So some of the types of projects will include quality and safety. We talked about lean operations. We talked about engineering services. Those will actually fall under these types of projects. Website design, new technology integration, strategy planning, just to name a few of some of the technical projects that are eligible. And when you talk about the energy supply chain, that will include hydrogen technologies, solar, wind, geothermal energy, just to name a few. So if you have clients or if you're interested in learning more about this grant, please reach out to us. It's a 4-year grant. It is very long term. And we know that we're going to be able to help out hundreds of clients over the next year, over the next 4 years, as it relates to this grant. Again, I talked about some of these technical assistance and different projects. They're listed there. And again, we can get this information out to you. So again, if you have any questions, I know we're right at 12 o'clock, so I think we did good on our timing, Darlyn. Please reach out to us. We're here to help and would love to have conversation with you. Darlyn?
Thank you very much, Janelle. And again, please reach out to us. I know we covered a lot. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know this presentation will be made available on YouTube. And again, just a special thanks to HBK for allowing us to talk about these things today. And hopefully it'll really help the manufacturers out there and also help the colleagues at HBK as we approach the market together. So thanks and a shout out to my colleague, Janelle. Great doing this with you as always. And we really hope everyone has a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darlyn and Janelle. We appreciate all of the information that you shared. A follow-up email will go out to all of those who registered for the webinar today, as well as, like Darlyn mentioned, be available on social media as well. Certainly, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to Darlyn or Janelle or any member of the HBK Manufacturing Solutions team. Again, thanks for everyone who attended today. Have a great day.